Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So this is our very first 1-minute book recs of 2025. So we are going to bring you guys the books that we read the first week of January, tail end of December, first week of January. But it's kind of exciting. It's the first week of the year. So
2025, here we are.
Yep. Before we get started,
well, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. We love hearing from you. How is your reading starting off this new year? Let us know in the comments.
Yep. So how was your reading week?
I read a lot. I read 15 books, but one was a series, so I have 11 to talk about.
Okay. I didn't read a lot. I took 2 days off. I read 8. One is for next week, so we're just going to skip that. And then one of them, I'm going to talk about it in conjunction with another one. So I have 6 to talk about. It's a weird situation. So that means you go first.
Yay. I love going first.
Yay.
All right.
Well, then stop reading more than me. All right.
I'm going to.
Well, it's back to school this week, so I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm
actually looking forward to going back to work. I know that probably sounds weird, but it'll be nice to get back into like some routine.
Again. I know. I'm looking forward to kid going off to school and yeah. So, okay.
First book. I read the latest book in Neva Altai's Perfectly Imperfect World, Sweet Prison. By Neva Altai, obviously.
Yeah, very said that. Okay.
Okay, so this is Zahara and Massimo's story. We see these two a little bit in the last book. Zahara is Nira's sister. Massimo is their stepbrother who's been in prison, who we know, spoiler alert if you haven't read the last one, he was running the whole show in the Mafia. It's not really a spoiler because that's basically how the other book goes, but anyway. So, yeah, he's running the whole show. So he is 15 years older than Zahara, I think 15 or 14, something like that. He's quite a bit older than her, and he has been in prison for 15 years. They are step siblings, but Zahara was like a baby, like little toddler when he went away, and he is now out. They had corresponded throughout his time there, so she is very anxious for him to get home, and he is anxious to get back to Mafia life. So that is the book, and I was very excited for this. I rated it 3 stars. It fell a little flat for me. I don't want to give anything away, but there are a few things that really bugged me about the book. And again, if I tell you what they are, it gives it away. If you want to know, you can email me or message me on Instagram, and I'm happy to tell you what bugged me. But yeah. Okay. I was kind of disappointed. I was really looking forward to it.
I can get that. I get that. I totally understand that. Okay.
But it's a mixed review. I went and looked at reviews because whenever I feel like a book falls flat for me, I just am curious if other people feel the same. So I went and looked, and I found some people loved it. And then I found quite a few people who also felt the same way I did, who gave detailed reviews, who struggled with some of the same issues I did. Yeah. So there it is.
All right.
I have like a sinus infection going on, so I was doing like heavy steam to try and like clear some pressure. So my face is like super red right now.
Yeah, it just looks like it's actually really sunny outside instead of like overcast and gloomy. But you know, it's not.
This is why I'm reading so much.
Yeah,
can't go outside. It's pouring down rain.
So, okay, so the first 2 books that I read this year were rereads. I had to do these for specific reasons, but I'm going to talk about them because I still feel like, even though this book is known, it's not known. So we're going to talk about them. So the first book that I did a reread of is the ultimate taboo book, and that is Wild by Kay Webster. So for those of you who have not read it out there, this is about Devin. She is 16 when the book starts. She turns 17 as the book gets going. She is headed to Alaska with her mom and her dad. They're moving there. They have sold everything. Her dad was very well off. Her twin brother passed away. We find that out. That's part of the trauma. Mom is very depressed. And so dad decides he's moving the whole family to Alaska. He takes some survival courses, and they're going to go to this wilderness. He bought all this land, he sold all of his businesses, and they're going to build a home, which is a little crazy, but that's what they decide to do. And along the way, some major things happen, some tragedy happens, and lo and behold, they're stranded in the wilderness, and things that probably shouldn't be happening start happening. So that is what this book is about. Like I said, it's extremely taboo. It is not for everyone. You really need to check your triggers when you go into it, but it is so good. There's a lot, there's some major twists and turns that just, change things up, but still love it. I listened to the audio. There's new audio for it now. You can get the audio, which has just been released. It came out for like a hot minute and then went away. But you have to get it from Kay's website. So that's authorkaywebster.com. But you can get the audio, and that is what I did. I listened to the audio, and it is awesome.
I just read Wild Winter last night, and we'll talk about that next week.
Okay. All right. And I needed to do the reread because I want to get into the other ones that I haven't read yet in the Wild World. So I just
Untamed and Unruly.
Yeah.
So good. Did you read Daddy Read?
Yes.
Okay, you want to read Daddy Read first?
Yeah, Daddy Read is like totally in my head right now. So yeah. I mean, I haven't forgotten a lot about that, but I needed this one for certain details. So.
Okay, ready?
All right. Okay. Yeah.
For my next one. Mm-hmm. Okay, I read "Forgot to Say Goodbye" by S.L. Scott.
Okay.
This is about Liv and Noah. So Liv and Noah hook up in the Hamptons. It's a one-night thing, and Liv ends up pregnant, but she has no idea. Like there's like no way to figure out who Noah was. So she kind of continues on with her life. The baby, I believe he's like 10 months old, 10 or 8 months or a year. He's still pretty little. And Noah gets a job at the same place Liv works. And Liv is kind of struggling with her job there. She does a very good job, but her dad is part owner of the company. And so she kind of gets treated a little differently. So she doesn't let anybody know that she has a kid. She kind of sticks to herself. She doesn't go out and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Noah shows back up. And she's got to tell him what's going on. So I enjoyed this one. I rated it 4 stars.
Okay. All right. So after reading Wild, I immediately jumped into The Free, which is the second book in this Wild and Free series, or her Wild series, by Kay Webster. So this is about Atticus and Eve. We meet both of them in the first book. The land that is bought by Devon's dad was Atticus's land. He's a retired college football player, and now he's living in his little remote town in Alaska. And at the beginning of the book, we see that Eve, nobody knows how old Eve is. We meet her in the first book. Everybody kind of expects her to be somewhere around that 15, 16-ish range. She was raised completely wild. And so there's just that question of how old is she? But she is hurt pretty badly at the beginning of this book by a bear. And Atticus doesn't want to take her out of the wild, but then he has to take her out of the wild. And then there's some attraction, but really, she's young, and there's all these other things that happen. But again, it's totally worth it. You got to keep reading it. You got to stay in it. Definitely love that one. I do like their story quite a bit. It just reminded me of the little town that I lived in Alaska a lot. So, yeah. All right.
Wild Winter focuses on wild.
Okay.
And rowdy.
Mm-hmm. Which are kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. My next one is The Girl in the Love Song by Emma Scott. This is the first book in the Lost Boys series. So we have Violet and Miller. Violet and Miller, this is like a coming of age story. So they meet when they're really like early teenage years and become very good friends. Violet literally saves Miller, and they just become extremely close. And Miller starts writing love songs, and guess who they're all about? But Violet doesn't realize that she is starring in all of his love songs. And so this is just, I loved it. It's such a sweet story. Emma Scott just does such a great job with her books. And I don't want to give anything away. So that, I just did a 30-second book rec.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. But everyone knows I love Emma Scott. So
yeah,
I'm excited to continue on in the series.
Okay. All right. So the next book that I read was an audio release that came out this last week, and that is Hot Blooded Alpha. This is the second by Eve Bale. This is the second book in this duet, the second book in the series, because it goes on to have other characters after this. I had talked about Cold-Blooded Alpha like 2 weeks ago when I listened to the audiobook. I read these a few years ago, but I think like in 2021, I didn't remember everything and I wanted to listen to the new audio. So that is what I did. So this is the second half of Tallis and Dane's story. It picks up right after the cliffhanger in the first book. Tallis is in danger. Dane is losing his mind. This is a shifter romance. She's been bullied for years and he's brought her into his pack, and they were mated, they were married, and this is their story. So this is just the conclusion. I gave this one 4 stars. I didn't care for the conclusion as much. And I remember I looked back at what I'd given. The first book I gave 5 stars. This one I gave 4 stars. I did that when I originally read it as well. So I did enjoy it. I did love the whole story. I'm not sure why it needed to be broken up into 2 books, but it was, and that's how it is. So I think if it had all been one big story, it might have been more of a 5-star, but it's all good. So go listen to it.
Okay. I will.
No, you won't.
You're bossing me around.
Not until I make you do it in a convincing.
Probably, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
My next one is Straight Up Love by Lexi Ryan. This is part of the Jackson, let me get this right, Boys of Jackson Harbor. And this is one I've been wanting to get back to for a while. And I hate that when books kind of disappear off my radar, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I've been wanting to read that. So I'm glad that I went back to it. So this is about Ava and Jake. Ava just turns 30 and she decides that she wants a baby. She's been married and divorced, and her ex is now remarried to the girl that he was cheating on her with, and they're having a baby. And so she is just like, I'm not getting any younger. I need to have a kid. I want to be a mom so bad. So she drunkenly asks her best friend, Jake, to help her with this. And Jake is not really sure what's going on. So he just agrees because he's like, is she pregnant? But then why is she drinking? Like, what is happening? He's confused. So he just agrees to it, even though Jake has been secretly in love with Ava for a very long time. Dun, dun, dun. So they decide to have a baby together.
Okay.
Good.
You rated it.
I did rate it.
What did you rate it?
4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was my last book of the year.
Okay.
So I shall put away this reading journal and get out my January reading journal. I stressed about this quite a bit because I didn't know what to do, because we record on a particular day every week. Like, we have our cutoff, and our cutoff ended in like the middle of between 2024 and 2025. And so I was like, do I start everything in 2020 in the new journal, or do I put 2024 still in my old journal? I decided to put the rest of 2024 in the 2024 journal. So when I'm looking on Goodreads for a book, I know then where to find it. So I split my week up. So now I'm moving into my 2025 reading journal. If you've not picked up your reading journals for the year, shameless plug, they are linked below. Grab one. They're very handy.
Yeah. Well, all of mine
and paperback, different covers. It's exciting down there in those links. Yeah.
All of mine just went into the 2025 journal, because if I read it on New Year's Eve, I counted it for January 1st because we'd already cut off ourselves. So everything went in here. I needed it in here. It counted for 2025 in Goodreads, so it counted in here.
No, but we didn't, because everything that when I went to your house, that was that.
But I didn't read those days because you were at the house all day, and I was like, forget it. I might have started something that day, but I didn't finish it till the next day when I had kids at the house and I was cooking all day. And,
Okay.
So I just pushed it all off into January.
I should plan that better.
Yeah, that way you don't have to stress about your journal. So I will say though, now I've got my journal
into
open
my
now.
2025 journal we go now.
Okay.
It's gonna be so weird because it starts off with book 5.
Oh, yours is where, because you number yours for the week. I number mine for the year. So mine starts at book 1. So yeah, I can see that being a little bit crazy. Okay.
Just the way it is here. I have my system for my book organization.
Okay. And
Yep.
you just give yourself unneeded stress. Got it. Okay.
I figured out what I was going to do.
Oh, eventually, yes. Sorry, I
Calm
missed
your
that last one.
tits, woman.
I thought I don't want to calm my tits. Okay, so the next book that I read is the one that I was telling you guys about. It's a little weird to talk about because I wanted to read Hips, Lips, and Apocalypse by Tyler Page.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this.
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call,
I
folks.
got like, buckle up, guys. I got several chapters into it, and I was like, oh, she has a novella in the same world, because I almost felt like I was missing something. And it's called Like Father, Like Slaughter. And I'm like, okay, let me download. There's audio for this. Let me download it, start listening to it, and just jump into it. Like Father, Like Slaughter is a novella. It is set in this world. It is the same damn story. Apparently, Tyler wrote it. Had I done some research, I would have figured it out. She wrote it and then said if there was enough hype around it, then she'd write a full-length story about these guys. Apparently there was hype and it was written. So let's talk about.
But see, you're doing everyone a favor. You took one for the team there, and now you're letting everyone know how to go read this.
And then I kept reading and listening to it because I was like, well, does something change? Like, is there something different? No, it doesn't. So now let's talk about Hips, Lips, Apocalypse. Just jump right into this one. I know there's no audio for this one yet, but still, just jump right into this one if you're going to do it. So this is a post-apocalyptic horror romance. And I'm going to really stress that it is a horror romance because it's very campy. It's very, tongue-in-cheek with some of the horror elements. And there is a foreword in here from Tyler that I highly suggest reading because she's like, please don't take this too seriously. Things happen in here. It's like a horror flick. It's like, kind of making fun of certain things. So you can't take it too seriously. So this is about our heroine, who is Eleanor. So in this world, there is people are in bunkers. So she is in a bunker, and she gets chosen for this young lady program when she is 8. So when she is 8, she gets brought up to the upper levels, and she is trained to kind of go out and find certain items because the women in this world, for whatever reason, are immune to the gases in the air. So atomic bombs were dropped. But the men aren't. So the men have to go out in suits. So when you're 8, you are assigned to your daddy. And this is a 21-year-old man. This is not supposed to be sexual, but you are assigned to this daddy. And he basically mentors you, follows you out, makes sure you're safe, takes care of you, but you always have a daddy with you. At the same time, there are men in this group who are a couple years older. They're like 2 or 3 years older, and they are the daddies in training for the next generation. So they kind of all go to school together and whatever. This is an MMF. So this is about Eleanor. On her 18th birthday, she goes to a carnival. They go to this old carnival that's been run down, and something happens, and something terrible happens to her daddy. So she is assigned to her new daddy, who is the 21-year-old male who she has hated her whole life. And then another guy shows up. Loved this. I gave it 5 stars. First 5 stars of the year. You really cannot take it seriously. You have to go into it knowing it's a horror romance and all of these horror elements happen. But I friggin' loved it. And I read it twice, apparently. So, okay. Next.
All right. My next one is an ALC. This is Beautiful Crazy by Ashley James. Now, Jessica, it's Connor. How do I say his last name?
I don't know.
Crace?
Yes.
Crass?
Crace.
Crace. Okay. Are you sure? Or are you
That's
just guessing?
how I hear him say it. That's what sounds proper to me.
Okay.
That's what he says. Connor Crace. Yeah.
And everyone's favorite, Samantha Brentmore.
Love Samantha.
So this comes out January 6th, which is the date this video comes out. So go grab this one. It's a good one. So this starts off a Blossom Beach series. So this is the first book in there. And we have Gemma and Everett. Gemma is a widow, and her son is like, her husband passed away like several years ago. So her son is like 6 or 7, I can't remember his exact age, and he passed. So her husband, or maybe her husband's been passed away for 6 years. I'm getting my dates confused. Anyways, her husband has been passed away for a long time, but she has decided like her focus is just on her son. She's not dating, that sort of thing. And then we have Everett, who moves into the house next door to her, and they start a quick little friendship that turns into a friendship with benefits. And he is also her son's teacher. This is just, I loved this one so much. So you have like some elements of books that I like when you have that mature heroine. She is focused on her son, and then love just finds her. And he is a very swoony hero, but he's sometimes I don't like golden retriever heroes if they're like doormatty. He's like swoony, but he's still very like alpha. And there is a little bit of a breeding kink in this. It's contemporary romance breeding kink, like not what you're gonna find in like the Mafia world. But I loved it. It was small town. There's a group of friends, so I'm sure we're gonna see those girls or ladies in the next books. But really enjoyed that one.
What did you rate it?
I rated it 4 stars. Sorry.
Okay. I know you loved it, which means it could have been anything, a 4-star, 5-star. I didn't know. So,
yes.
Okay. So the next book that I read is one that was on my January TBR. We're going to see this author in February. A little bit of a disappointment, though. So this is Ruined My Life by Luna Pierce. I know a lot of people love it. So here's the deal. This is a why choose Mafia romance. For me, now there's always exceptions to the rule. Why choose does not work in Mafia. If your Mafia man is supposed to be this crazy, obsessive, possessive guy, probably an asshole, but he's crazy, possessive. Like it doesn't make sense for him to share. So that's why when they do why choose in Mafia, it doesn't always work for me. But this is about our heroine, Cora. At the beginning of this, but also this is supposed to be a standalone. And I just felt like I was missing everything because it's a spinoff of a different series of hers, where she's already met 2 of the 3 guys. Like she already knows them and we're barely given a backstory. So that was really hard. But Cora gives herself to a nasty bookie kind of guy to save her parents. Her dad had borrowed a whole bunch of money from this guy because her mom was dying. And she didn't even know that her mom was dying. She's in her early 20s. She couldn't figure out the signs for whatever reason. Mom has cancer. So after she gives herself to this guy, she gets a month to get her affairs in order, and then he's going to come and get her. And in the meantime, she reconnects with the one guy who is her best friend, whose boyfriends are all in the Mafia as well, or husbands or whatever they are, and he's their driver. There's a billionaire guy, and then there's like the fixer guy. I gave it 3 stars. Did I enjoy listening to it? Yeah. Did it drag in some spots? Yeah. Did it not work for me? Yeah. So I don't know. I know for some it works. It didn't work for me. It wasn't a me thing. So does it make sense in Mafia? Next.
Okay.
Okay.
It was just funny when you said it wasn't a me thing. I know what you were trying to say, but it was like it didn't work. It wasn't a me thing. Like it's not me, it's you.
No, meaning it's not for me.
I know what you were saying, but it just made me chuckle.
I just need them to know if you love it, cool. It just didn't work for me. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. My next one is a rom-com. I haven't read a rom-com in a while, and this one I loved. This was on my January TBR. It is called Love is Complicated by Janine Collette. It starts off the Love Explained series. I'm actually excited to continue on with this. So we have Melissa, who breaks in after drinking too much wine one night. She breaks in to her ex-husband's new girlfriend, who was the girl that he cheated with, into her hair salon because she used to be her hairdresser and she's tired of not getting the hair color that she wants. So she breaks in to get her color card, and the police are called and she gets taken to jail, which is where she meets Will. And then the next day, she is also a wedding planner. She meets with a bride, and a groom shows up. The intended groom is actually Will. And she's a little devastated by what's going on here, which leads to her again getting arrested again. But there's a good reason. And it's just so funny because things just keep going wrong. But it's also got a really sweet story to it as well. And I really enjoyed it. I hope I covered everything. Oh, and she's a mature heroine as well. So
Okay.
I like that. So I rated it 4 stars.
Perfect.
And I will continue on in the series because I liked the humor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how awful would it be to be like just trying to get your hair color back?
I've been there. We've all been there. All right. So the next book that I read was a novella. It is the sixth, I think it's the fifth book in a series, but I have already read the other series and I really enjoyed it. And that is Press Pound for Refund by V.K. Ludwig. So this is a alien romance, but this is the fifth one in there. So I just loved it. So this is also kind of a survival romance because this is about our heroine Danny, and then our hero is Jarrow. And Jarrow is a Vandalar Har concubine. Like, he's been trained in how to please a woman. He's actually went on to teach as well as be trained. So most of these sock guys are like trained, they know like 1,000 ways to please a woman. Well, he knows 2,000 ways to please a woman. But that doesn't come into handy when their ship crashes and the two of them are stranded and they have to survive. So he has skills, but the only skills he has are how to please a woman. So how does that work? So I really love this. I gave it 4 stars. It was a lot of fun. And I'm out for the week. Your turn.
Okay. Reset the timer. Okay. My next book is Undeniably Married by Jay Shaman.
There's no H.
Saman.
There we go.
Jay Saman. Okay.
Yep.
And this is her newest release. And this is Mason and how do you say the S name? Sorrel?
I don't know, because I don't know their names. What is it?
Sorrel. It's like Sorrel. Sorrel.
Sorrel, probably.
Sorrel. Okay. I listened to this one and I tried really hard to memorize how to pronounce the name, and then I write it down and I get confused. So anyways, she finds out like, I'm a mess, people. She finds out her fiance is cheating on her the night before their wedding. So she goes to the wedding, and then when it's her turn to say the vows, she unloads on him in front of everyone and leaves the wedding. She runs literally into Mason as she's leaving because he was late getting to the wedding, because he secretly has a thing for her and doesn't want her to get married to him, but he's reluctantly coming. He takes her and they go off to Vegas. They decide to have a fling because she realizes that she really wasn't that invested in her future husband anyway. Like, she doesn't feel the heartbreak. She's like, I'm not that devastated. Like, it sucks, but I'm not devastated. So they decide to go ahead and get married in Vegas, just being like kind of funny together. And because he is a famous football player in the NFL, they get photographed. So they end up having to stay married, but Mason is determined to win her over. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars.
Okay.
Okay.
So
now
what's
I
your
have
next
something to edit.
I know.
Okay. So next I read, or actually I didn't read, I listened to the Vegas Aces, the first series. So this was an ALC. It comes out on January 7th, and you can get it with just 1 credit, all 5 books, which is pretty cool. This is by Lisa Suzanne, and it's the narration is done by Summer Roberts. So this is the football series that kind of started off the whole Vegas Aces. And I don't know how I never read this before. So I was very excited to get the ALC for this. So this is Luke and Ellie's story. Ellie epically loses her job and her boyfriend, it's told in the story, on the same day. And so she's not really sure what to do. And her brother talks her into coming out to Vegas with where he plays on the football team, the Vegas Aces, and to live with him and his future wife. They're like getting married very quickly, very soon, I should say, is her best friend. So she decides, why not? Like, I don't really know what I'm going to do, so why not do this? So she decides to do that. And he sets her up with staying at his best friend on the team's house, Luke, who lives next door to him. She is at their it's a co-ed bachelorette party, but like they're in separate rooms, basically, if that makes sense. She ends up having a 1-night fling with hot Luke. They just decide to have a 1-night stand because she's never had one before, and she doesn't know who he is. And it turns out he is her brother's friend who she's going to be staying with. And poor Luke has a lot of other woman drama going on in his life. Not really his fault, just batshit crazy woman. Really enjoyed this. I rated it 5 stars. I loved the drama and the tension.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ready for my next one?
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is I Got the Ark for Steal My Heart by Laura Pavlov. This comes out on January 9th. And this is Henley and Easton's story. So Easton, we see him in the previous series a little bit. He is kind of a grumpy jerk. And he is not very happy that Henley is coming to work at the law firm because her dad is one of like the major partners of the law firm. And so she kind of just feels like everything's probably just been handed to her. So he kind of just starts off on the wrong foot with her because he's been asked to be her mentor. And of course, in any good romance, he has lots of layers to him that lead to why he's such a grumpy ass at times. But Henley is going to quickly win him over because she did not just get this position handed to her. She really deserves it. And she goes kind of head, like toe to toe with him. So we have small town enemies to lovers, and of course, that workplace romance. And there is some tragic backstory. So you may need to check triggers depending on where you're at with those sorts of things. But also, good to note, we have the lovely Laura Pavlov is going to be on our channel on Wednesday. We did an author interview with her, and that was lots of fun. So I'm very excited for you guys to see that on Wednesday, just in time for her book to come out on Thursday.
Yep.
And that starts off, I don't think I said the new series, the
You did.
Rosewood River series. I said that?
You said it was starting off a new series, but you didn't say which series. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then one more book for the Mandy Show.
One more book for the Mandy Show.
Okay, here we go. My last read of the week was Possess Me by Michelle Hurd. This is number 5 in the Corrupted Royals series. So we have Alec, and Alec accidentally kidnaps Everly. Not accidentally. He means to kidnap her. He thinks that she is this Russian daughter of the how do you say that? I can't. Thank you. And she's not. There's a reason. Read the book and you'll know. But he accidentally kidnaps the wrong girl, Everly. Well, before he can figure out what to do with this slight problem that he has, because Everly speaks English perfectly, she's clearly not the Russian girl he's looking for. Before he can figure out what to do, they are overtaken and kidnapped themselves. So him, his brother, and Everly. And they're held hostage and tortured. And there's my time. I don't want to give too much away. I will just say that this was a wild ride. It's dark. It's Secret Baby. It was very good. I rated it 4 stars. I want to go back and read more in this series.
I've read a lot by her. I like hers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Okay, guys. That's it. That's the reading week.
Yes. So welcome to 2025. So thank you for being here. Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And all this month, you're going to want to have that notification button on because we have some great extra interviews coming out on Wednesdays.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.